This is a live Channels television event.
Industrialization and innovation. Three very, very big eyes. It is a summit that is, while it is the fifth in a series, it's also the first of its kind. Because for the first time, the world is joining us virtually. And so, yes, it is exciting. It's an exciting time to be a Kadunan. It's an exciting time to be here. At this time, I would like to call on Her Excellency, Dr. Hadiza Sabwa Balarabi, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State and Chairman, Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency, for her welcoming remarks. Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, Your Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, and other excellencies who are here with us, our keynote speakers, the guest speaker and panelists, captains of industries here with us, our most revered local and international investors, development partners, members of the federal and state executive councils present here, other senior government officials, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to welcome you to yet another edition of the flagship investment summit in Nigeria, CAD Invest 5.0. We're especially pleased and humbled that His Excellency the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, responded to our call to be here with us. This singular act is a demonstration of your administration's strong commitment to promoting private investment as a major driver for economic diversification and growth. Your Excellency, your being here is also very significant because it opens up a new dawn in our new state. We bid a very hearty welcome to all our distinguished guests who are here because of the belief that Kaduna State is a land of opportunities. The soil of our land is rich. Our people, though diverse, are vibrant and resilient, and we have breathtaking and spectacular sceneries too. Since 2016, CAD Invest has continued to be used to showcase these rich investment potentials and opportunities to the world, while also stressing our readiness and strong commitment to the business community for investments. Some of you have since then chosen to work with us along this path of growth, employment, and shared prosperity. You were there when we began to rebuild our economy, fundamentally changing the fortunes of our people. We are determined to follow this positive economic trajectory because of the realization that it is only a truly private sector-led economy that holds the key for economic growth and prosperity for our state. Our government will serve as the enabler through which sound policies, strong institutions and processes that uphold investors' confidence are created. Our team has continued to lay emphasis on these since 2016, when we announced to the world that Kaduna is ready for business. In its 2018 report, the World Bank rated Kaduna as #1 in the ease of doing business in Nigeria, owing to these reforms. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is worthy to note that the state has attracted local and foreign direct investments in the agricultural value chain, manufacturing, and other services. This year also, the Federal Government Investment Promotion Council recognized Kaduna as a leading destination for foreign direct investment in the country. This proves that we are delivering on our promises to make Kaduna's investment climate very, very friendly. Central to Kaduna's future growth prospect is closing this huge infrastructure gap, laying the foundation for rapid industrialization and deepening penetration for the use of technology in productive ventures. It is in this vein that we couch the theme for the 2020 CAD Invest as infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation. During this two-day summit, discussions will focus on prioritizing innovation as a key ingredient for sustained growth in Kaduna, investment partnerships towards improving physical and digital infrastructure for businesses, strengthening rural communities via innovation in agriculture to offer new opportunities for job creation, and tapping the state's immense human capital potential to crowdsource innovative ideas and drive economic growth. At this point, let me again reiterate how pleased we are that you all are here at this event. You are here because you understand that change and progress are possible with vision and ambition. And here in Kaduna, we have both vision and ambition. Distinguished participants, Kaduna State is a land of many contrasts. But while we have and face certain challenges, we are doing our best to push the frontiers of excellence. We will continue to build partnerships both within and outside the state. I make bold to say that there cannot be a better time to invest in this dynamic, growing economy than now. I therefore seize this unique opportunity to say welcome, Mr. President, our potential investors, invited guests, all participants, and we thank you for being part of this significant event. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless.
So much. That was Her Excellency Dr. Hadiza Sabua Balarabe, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, giving us her welcoming remarks. It's been barely 24 hours since we lost an icon, a personality that those aged 50 years and below would find it very hard to remember anyone other than him, leading us culturally in Kaduna State and beyond. I'm talking about our late Emir, Alhaji Dr. Shehu Idris, who passed on to the great beyond. I would now ask that we all stand for 1 minute of silence to remember a man who did his best while he could. Please, let's all stand. May Al-Jannah Firdaus be his final abode. Please, let's take our seats. Now, after the welcoming remarks of the Deputy Governor, we'll be moving on swiftly to the presentation on the overview of CAD Invest 4.0, unveiling of the CAD Invest 5.0, and launching the report Kaduna 2020 by His Excellency Malam Nasser Ahmad El-Rufai, the Governor of Kaduna State. Your Excellency.
Thank you. Can we share the slides, please? Your Excellency, our leader and mentor, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, the Excellency, my colleague, the Deputy Governor of the state, captains of industry, my colleagues on the Kaduna State government side, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome all of you once again to the 5th edition of Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit. What I'll try to do is to provide an overview of the infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation strategies of Kaduna State. Next slide. In this presentation, very quickly, I will try to cover, please go back. After an introduction, I'll try to cover the CAD-Invest story, how we started from 2016, and how we've done since then, particularly looking at our achievements in 2019. 2020 has been annus horribilis, a year of many disasters, but also a year of many opportunities. It has given us negative impact, but also has presented certain opportunities. And I will end with where we aspire to be, our future plans, and end with a pitch to why anyone should invest in Kaduna State, because there are 36 states in Nigeria and the FCT, and we are competing with all of them. Next slide. Your Excellency, Mr. President, our cardinal agenda in Kaduna is to provide a conducive environment for the private sector to drive the economy and create jobs. We employ less than 100,000 people out of the 10 million people that live in Kaduna State. So the government must provide an enabling environment such that the private sector can invest and create the jobs for millions. So we are driven by, since we came into office, we've tried to develop policies and actions and reforms to make Kaduna the state of choice for investment decisions. In 2014, Your Excellency, we were ranked by the World Bank as the 24th state in the ease of doing business out of 36 states and the FCT. We have tried since then to put in policies to ensure that our state moves to the top of the table. And I'm happy to say that by 2018, we had become #1 by the special grace of God. Mr. President, we believe that the private sector provides the fastest way to create jobs and to be globally competitive. And with a state that has 89% of its population below the age of 35, job creation is our major challenge. This is why we came up with CAD-Invest, Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit. We felt it's a critical vehicle to showcase Kaduna, to show our progress on an annual basis and attract investors. Since we started this in 2016, Your Excellency, we have attracted both domestic and foreign investments worth over $800 million. And this year alone, we've had investment announcements of over $2.1 billion, far ahead of Lagos and any other state in the country. We have been able to facilitate these investments, Your Excellency, by the creation of one-stop shop called the Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency, chaired by the Deputy Governor, with His Royal Highness, the former Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamida Sanusi, as the Vice Chairman, and our commissioners as members to operationalize and ensure the implementation of our Ease of Doing Business Charter. We came up with steps to make Kaduna easier to do business. And KADIPA, the Investment Promotion Agency, became the main interface with the private sector to ensure investments come to Kaduna. And they have been quite successful, as you can see, Mr. President. Next slide. In the last 5 years, we have attracted 20 new businesses to Kaduna. We've attracted both local and foreign investments worth $800 million. We've facilitated investments through the creation of one-stop shop. We've developed the capacity of CADIPA now to move from attracting investments into engaging in public-private partnerships, because we find that some investors have more confidence when the government invests in a minority shareholding in their companies. In CAD Invest 1, we got 25 businesses and $500 million, including the Olam feed mill and hatchery, Mr. President, which you commissioned in September 2017. In CAD Invest 2, we launched, next slide please. In CAD Invest 2 2017, we launched the Kaduna State Development Plan. This was a 5-year plan of how we intend to develop our state. We launched sector investment plans for each sector, deriving from the State Development Plan. We also set an agenda for an expansionary budget to fund critical infrastructure. Mr. President, we recall that this was a year in which Nigeria was in recession, but we launched an expansionary budget similar to the economic growth and stabilization plan that the federal government launched. We also launched the Ease of Doing Business Charter, is our Kaduna Industrial Plan. So after the infrastructure plan, we developed a Kaduna industrialization plan to see how we can industrialize our state with our comparative advantage in agriculture. So we focus on agribusiness and mining as the basis for our own industrialization. We also worked with Mr. President and the federal government to try to revive our textile industry. Our infrastructure master plan and the industrial plan were aligned to achieve the sustainable development goals as part of the global commitment of Nigeria to the United Nations. We launched Kaduna into Industry 4.0 phase, focusing on developing a knowledge-driven economy while revamping our historical industries like textile. Mr. President, I will now report on 2019, which was the last year when we did CAD Invest 4.0. In 2019, Mr. President, after our election, we signed an executive order creating 3 new ministries and abolished 3 existing historical ministries, while amending the mandate of 3 others. We, for the first time, created a Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs to focus single-handedly on our security challenges. We created a new Ministry of Business, Innovation and Technology to take into account the way the world is changing, to replace our Ministry of Commerce and Industry. We also modified the mandate of various ministries and converted our Ministry of Women Affairs into a Ministry of Human Services and Social Development to focus on all human beings and the vulnerable. Your Excellency, we also established 5 policy implementation councils to achieve better coordination, because ministries, departments and agencies like to operate independently as silos, sometimes in competition with one another. They don't collaborate enough. So we created 5 policy councils, and we bring all MDAs in the same area to collaborate and work together. So for instance, we have the Human Capital Development Council, which is chaired by the Deputy Governor, with the Ministries of Health, Education, Human Services and Social Development, all the related MDAs that are involved in social development, education and health attend these policy council meetings that happen every Monday. The Economic Development Council meets every Tuesday and brings all the economic ministries, departments and agencies headed by our Senior Advisor Councillor, Mr. Jimmy Lawal. The Infrastructure Development Council meets every Wednesday between 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning to coordinate activities of developing the infrastructure of Kaduna State and implementing the infrastructure master plan. The Procurement Monitoring Council, chaired by the Deputy Governor, looks at the projects above a 13 threshold. All projects above 200 million come to the Procurement Monitoring Council, and the Procurement Monitoring Council can approve those projects. So in our State Executive Council, we don't award contracts. It is the Procurement Monitoring Council that is the last bus stop. And finally, on Fridays, the Institutional Development Council looks at our institutional reforms so that we entrench them that will to outlive our administration. We look at the governance as a whole and try to look at ways to make our ministries better. This is chaired by the Secretary to the Government, assisted as Vice Chair by the Head of Civil Service of the state. And all the Institutional Council does is to ensure that all components of our government work better. In 2019 as well, after our election, Mr. President, we embarked on an accelerated, coordinated, integrated, and sustainable urban renewal project. Kaduna has given birth to all the 18 northern states and the FCT, but many of the new states have overtaken Kaduna in terms of quality infrastructure, whether it is roads, water supply, and so on. So we decided to go into partnership with CCECC of China and other domestic contractors like Mothercat, ranches, and so on, to renew our urban areas of Zaria, Kaduna, and Kafanchan. We are engaging in massive infrastructure projects, and our hope, Mr. President, is that we will invite you sometime June to July next year, by the grace of God, to come and commission all the projects in the new Kaduna and all the projects in the new Zaria and Kafanchan by the grace of God. Finally, Mr. President, one of the things we did in 2019 also is to establish 2 economic zones, the Green Economic Zone, GEZ, and the Green Agro-Allied Industrial Zone, where we hope many of our agricultural products will be processed. In the Green Economic Zone, we already have Olam, we already have OCP of Morocco putting up a center there, and as soon as AKK brings gas to Kaduna, they intend to put up a fertilizer plant there. Dangote and Pujo have a new partnership to put up a new Pujo assembly plant that will also manufacture trucks and SUVs and so on and so forth. In the Green Agro-Allied Economic Zone, we go back. In the Green Allied Economic Zone, we hope to have industries that will process agricultural products. Next slide. Your Excellency, these are the new ministries we created: Human Services and Social Development, which includes Women Affairs and Social Development and Arts, Culture. And the Ministry of Public Works and Infrastructure includes works and transport, as well as water resources. The Ministry of Sports Development is a dedicated ministry to develop our sports potential. Mr. President, Kaduna has contributed more football stars in the European leagues than any state in Nigeria, any city. From Rashidi Ekini, Daniel Amokachi, Tijani Babangida, Garba Lawal, all these were Kaduna boys, the Babayaro brothers. And we believe, Mr. President, if we invest in sports and we develop sports, it can be a big money spinner for the state and for the country. Sports can potentially earn more foreign exchange than oil if we work on it, and we think Kaduna can be the center. This is why we created a dedicated Ministry of Sports and put one of our most experienced commissioners, Professor Kabir Mato, to head it. We also converted our Ministry of Commerce and Industry to a Ministry of Business, Innovation and Technology. We created a new Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, standalone, so that we can build more social housing, because we've realized that most of the houses being built by the private sector are targeting the middle income and the rich. The low income to the middle income are left out, and we feel the government has to intervene and create a mortgage system that will enable people buy homes and pay over 25 years, 15 to 25 years. I'm very pleased to announce, Mr. President, we have a partnership with Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Corporation, Federal Mortgage Bank, Federal Mortgage Finance, as well as Sterling Bank, to create a 5 billion naira mortgage fund that residents of Kaduna can borrow, buy a house, and pay over 10 to 25 years, depending on convenience. And then our Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs to focus on security. Our 5 policy councils have already described. They were created to drive synergy and develop a shared government, a whole of government approach around executing policies. Human Development Council focus on building human capital in health, education, nutrition, and skills. Procurement Monitoring Council ensures that contracts are awarded at the best prices and as efficiently as possible. They also take away the distraction of Executive Council focusing on awarding contracts. Infrastructure Development Council addresses our infrastructural deficit in Kaduna and 23 local government areas. Institutional Development Council is to strengthen the capacity of the public service. It is the work of the Institutional Development Council, Mr. President, that led us to legislate a public service law. I think we are the only state in Nigeria with a public service law that shows the roles and rules and everything to do with the public service. Rather than operating the public service on the basis of public service rules, we have a law in the, passed by the State House of Assembly, along with sanctions and offenses for violating the law. Finally, the Economic Development Council focuses on growing our economic base, attracting investments, boosting revenues, and job creation. These are some of our urban renewal projects, Mr. President. They have many components. They consist of road expansion and maintenance, transportation. We are working with the French Development Agency to do a BRT system. We are working with the Indian Exim Bank to develop a light rail system that will start from one end of Kaduna, from Mararaban Jos, up to the refinery. We have also computerized our land register, so we have improved land use. We have put solar street lights all across Kaduna. Kaduna used to be a dark city, not anymore. We also have solar traffic lights, and we have started street naming and house numbering so that addressing will be easier and locating people will be easier. Markets, new markets are being constructed, neighborhood centers are being created, shopping malls are being built. Murtala Square, Mr. President, we are rebuilding it, making it a place of sports, entertainment, and shopping. By the time you come back to Murtala Square, Your Excellency, you will not recognize it, but it will be a very, very nice place by the grace of God. We are also building parks and recreational centers so that people will have places for relaxation. Our objective, Your Excellency, is to make Kaduna a place, the best destination for people that want to walk, live, and play. And with the train link to Abuja and the assurance by the Minister of Transport that the train will be operating every hour, we see Kaduna as a suburb of Abuja. People can live in Kaduna at 1/3 of the cost of living in Abuja and walk in Abuja every day and take the train and come back. So we are massively building houses to take advantage of that. We've also established economic zones, as I explained. The green economic zone is along the Kaduna Zaria Highway. The agro-allied industrial zone is along the Kaduna Abuja Highway. These are green, Your Excellency, because they will all be solar powered. None of them will use any fossil fuels. So we are building for the 21st century. Oil is on its way out, and we believe that this is the time to start building the industries of the future. So these estates will be wholly solar powered, studying what more we can do by way of grants to our businesses to help them come out of the losses they have incurred due to COVID-19. COVID-19 has a major impact. We have spent 1.4 billion as contribution to the COVID response. COVID activities and programs have so far, go back. What's happening? I don't have that. Okay. We revised our budget, we reduced our budget size by about 14%. Statutory allocations we predicted will go down by 37%. IGR we thought will go down by 32%, but I'm happy to report, Mr. President, as at June 30th, we have been able to raise as much as we did in June 2019. So far, it looks like we are going, our IGR is not going down, but we have to go to the end of the year to know. We reduced recurrent expenditure by 3%. VAT we expect will come down by 18%. and we reduced capital expenditure by 1.3%. That's the revised budget that was passed by our State House of Assembly. Next slide. So our priorities remain the same, Mr. President. Agriculture is our mainstay. Kaduna is the leading producer of maize. We produce 22% of Nigeria's maize, ginger, tomatoes, and soybeans. We are number 2 in sorghum and many other commodities. So agriculture is our mainstay, and agribusiness is our future. We are also investing strongly in education because we believe a healthy, educated populace is the future. We are investing in power supply, Mr. President. Kaduna State is building an 84-megawatt gas-fired power station next to the federal government-owned Kudenda power station. 84 megawatts plus 215 megawatts will give us about 300 megawatts, which is enough to power all the industries in Kaduna. We are investing in housing and urban development. We are building houses around Rigasa and many parts of Kaduna that will sell to citizens and with a mortgage bundle. We are aggressive about social development. We are addressing the Almajiri problem. We are addressing the issue of rape and gender-based violence. We are building roads all over, Mr. President, and we are expanding our water resources capability. And here, I want to appreciate the Federal Minister of Water Resources for his support. I also want to thank Mr. President for authorizing that Dangote Industries can build 3 roads in Kaduna and get that from the tax credit arising from the executive order you've signed. The work is yet to start. Mr. President, we urge that you get the ministers to authorize the beginning of this work. We've attracted, as I said, both domestic and foreign investments worth about $800 million. This is all there. Damao Milk Farm. Mr. President, this is one of our flagship projects. Damao is a grazing reserve that we are converting into a ranch and housing and schools and vet clinics, and we are resettling. We hope to resettle about 10,000 Fulani families. We are starting with 1,000. The whole project will cost 15 billion naira. The Central Bank of Nigeria graciously agreed to lend us 10 billion. Kaduna State Government and ALA of Denmark are putting up 5 billion naira to do this. We believe, Mr. President, if this succeeds, we have taken the first step in showing the nomadic Fulani that they can sedentarize and still make a lot of money. In Damao, we will have pasture, we will have vet clinics, we will have schools, hospitals, and housing, low-cost housing for the pastoralists to settle down and engage in livestock production. We are also bringing crossbreeds of cattle that will raise milk production from an average of 2 liters a day to 20 liters a day, thereby multiplying the income of the pastoralists 10 times. TMDK Agro-Industrial Park is building fertilizer and many other things. These are $25 million investments. There's a pharmaceutical company coming up. We have Sunseed feed mill in Zaria, Kaduna ICT hub, which was built by Zenith Bank, and we equipped it. Tomato Jos is doing a farm as well as tomato processing plant. Africa Industries Group, Africa Steel, Your Excellency, is building a $600 million iron ore processing and steel construction plant. We hope, Mr. President, to invite you before the end of 2021 to commission this plant, which will produce made in Nigeria steel for the first time in Nigeria's history. What we've not been able to do with Ajakuta in 60 years, Mr. President, you will achieve in Kaduna with a $600 million private investment. We're investing $100 million in affordable housing. Mahindra has built a tractor plant, about $3 billion, and Matrix Tractors is also coming to build a second tractor plant here in Kaduna. Neighborhood centers, shopping malls, are all being built. Olam Hatchery, which you commissioned, and Blue Camel and Energy, Mr. President, is an indigenous company that is assembling solar power lights, solar grids here in Kaduna, and training many of our young people. Stanbic IBTC has collaborated with us to build an incubation hub where we take young businesses and guide them to create new businesses. We are also talking to 2 aviation companies to start an Abuja-Kaduna shuttle. Every hour you will head to Abuja and Kaduna. It will be 20-30 minutes to get to Abuja and Kaduna, so that it will supplement the train system and many others. These are just some of the highlights that we like to make, Mr. President. We've also developed a public-private partnerships policy and manual, because apart from the investments, we now want to start putting Kaduna States money into some of these investments. We will get dividends in the future. Sometimes we contribute land, sometimes we put a little money, but we are minority shareholders because we don't want dominant government ownership to destroy businesses. But we realize that some businesses like to see the government there as a partner to hold their hands. So we've developed this manual. It's the first, I think we are the only state with a PPP manual that has the support of the World Bank. And we hope that we'll use it to do more road expansion, expand the electricity grid, as well as farming and mining and rural electrification. Next slide. We also have a digital strategy, Mr. President. Kaduna State has been far ahead of most other states in respect of digitization of government. We have digitized several government service setups for ease of access. Most of our investors now apply online. Most of our taxes are paid online. You can apply for land, Kaduna Geographic Information Service, virtually. So by the time the COVID-19 came and we have to operate virtually, it was very easy for us in Kaduna State. All these areas that interface with businesses, CAD IRS for taxes, KASUBDA for planning approvals, KEPA for environmental approvals, are all digitized, and they all share the same platform. Even registering your business with Business Innovation and Technology is now online. So today, Your Excellency, we are unveiling CAD Invest 5.0, which focuses on infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation. We think these 3 are connected. When we provide infrastructure, industrialization is easier. With industrialization, you attract people of various skills, and that's how you can drive innovation. So this next slide is just to welcome everyone. Welcome you, Mr. President. Welcome everyone to CAD Invest 5.0, because in this summit we are looking at innovative ways of triggering growth and finding lasting solutions to both economic, environmental challenges. COVID-19 has brought many problems, but it has also brought opportunities. Opportunities in developing digital businesses, e-commerce, e-government, as well as developing logistics businesses, because most people will prefer to stay at home and get their groceries delivered instead of going to the market and get exposed to COVID-19. So there are many opportunities. Courier companies, we're all encouraging this kind of businesses here in Kaduna so that we create more job opportunities for our people. This is why the theme of CAD Invest is focused on the 3 I's: innovation, infrastructure, and industrialization. So where do we want to be? Mr. President, we have 2.5 to 3 years to go, and we have this opportunity which we started when you flagged off my campaign, Mr. President. Our slogan was "Make Kaduna Great Again." Sadly, Donald Trump stole this from us, We cannot sue him because he has immunity, but we started this in 2014, Mr. President. And what do you mean by make Kaduna great again? I will read what was in our manifesto, Mr. President, which you approved. We want Kaduna to be a state where there are abundant economic opportunities and prosperity, social inclusion, peace and security, good governance, and improved quality of citizenry, quality of lives of the citizenry. This is our goal. This is the future Kaduna we want. We want a Kaduna that is home to every Nigerian. We want to overtake Lagos in terms of being cosmopolitan. We want every Nigerian to feel at home in Kaduna. And what is our vision of the future? Right now, we expect that our population will increase by 3.7 million in the next 15 years and 7.6 million by 2050. 40% of the population is under the age of 15 right now. We have increasing male population, and this is why this government is focused on ensuring that whatever we do, we have not 35% female, but if possible 50-50, because they are half of the population. Kaduna has a population in search of jobs, infrastructure, and industry, and we have to work on that. The map shows the demography. We are the third largest state in Nigeria in terms of population, and of course, we give President Buhari his third large number of votes since he started contesting in 2003, and we are very proud. We have many infrastructure investment opportunities, Mr. President, because we have, given our population dynamics and infrastructure deficits, we have to invest in infrastructure to meet the needs of our citizens and our businesses, and we are doing that. Kaduna has opportunities to absorb as much as 20 trillion to fund state infrastructure over the period to 2018 to 2050. We have started work on that, and we're inviting the private sector to join us. We are in the process of developing the new state development plan 2021 to 2025, which aims to consolidate on our achievements. We're also developing new sector implementation plans 2022 to 2024 to serve as mechanism to link the plans to the annual budget. We have a Sustainable Development Goals Acceleration Plan to fast-track our attainment of SDGs by 2030 by the grace of God. These are all linked to all our policy documents and part of the targets of our policy councils. So what are our future plans? Next slide. In agriculture, we want to increase share of agricultural sector to 40% of overall GDP and achieve a 20% contribution of agro-allied output to GDP. In electrical and electronics, we want to attract electrical and electronics industries in Kaduna and achieve a 10% share of that sector in our GDP. We want Kaduna to regain its position of being a motor vehicle assembly hub. We already have PAN, Pujo Automobile. We have 2 tractor assembly plants already, with a third one on the way. And with Dangote Pujo coming with a big partnership, including a Chinese company that will assemble a whole, from trucks to the smallest vehicle and SUVs, we think Kaduna can reclaim its position as the automotive hub of Nigeria. Then textiles. We are working with Mr. President, the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Industry and Trade and Investment to revive our brownfield textile industries and improve support services provided to our cotton farmers. We are working with a group in China that is willing to come in here because Chinese wages are rising, so they want to relocate their factory to Nigeria. We were to visit China in March, but because of COVID-19, that has been slowed down. But so these are the 4 areas, among others, that we want to focus in. And then ICT, of course, which is the future. And we want to inject ICT in everything, from agriculture to manufacturing to education. We want to increase penetration of electricity all across our state, particularly renewables. We are putting solar power in all our primary health centers All our schools will have solar grids so that they don't need to rely on the public grid, and we save money. And we want to increase the capacity of the grid in Kaduna to at least 400 megawatts. Mining and quarrying, we've already obtained licenses. We have Kaduna Mining Development Company that is partnering with international mining investors to develop our licenses in gold, tantalite, iron ore, and nickel. We've got incredible cooperation from the Minister of Solid Minerals, and we're very grateful for that. Then transport. We are expanding our road network. We are providing interstate and intrastate transportation schemes from BRT to light rail with the support of the federal government and the Exim Bank of India. So we hope, Your Excellency, with all this, we will create between 2 million and 7 million jobs by the year 2050. We will boost our GDP by 50%. We will substitute many imports because many of the things that are imported now will be produced in Kaduna for the rest of Nigeria. We'll also create wealth. We will raise household income to 102 billion by 2023 by the grace of God. Our stable investment climate will enable us to have a 34% increase in business registration, and we hope to give many of our youth jobs exploiting the relatively cheap labor compared to what is going on in China and many other countries. All these measures have got the private sector very interested in Kaduna. But at the end of the day, Mr. President, why should anyone invest in Kaduna? Now, we think the first reason is that we are the most improved state in ease of doing business. We are number one in the ease of doing business overall in Nigeria. We are also number one in property registration. If you purchase property or you apply for property, you are likely to get it faster in Kaduna than any state in Nigeria. We've overtaken all the other states, including Aegis in Abuja, which I established, which unfortunately is no longer number one, but Kaduna is number one. We are ranked also first in enforcing contracts. Our courts are very, very good at resolving commercial disputes, and they are very fast and they are very honest about it. We are number 5 in ease of registering businesses now, but our target is that by 2022, Your Excellency will be number 1. We are number 6. We have this, we have the 4th largest landmass. That is not correct. It's not 6. We have the 4th largest landmass in Nigeria, of which only 1/3 is under cultivation. So we have a large amount of land that is arable that we can give out. And we are endowed with a very large youth population. 89% of our population is below the age of 35. So we welcome you to Kad Invest, and we welcome all of you to join us to make Kaduna great again. And Mr. President, we promise you, by the time you are done, you will come back to your hometown of Kaduna, and you will find it a very nice place to retire. Thank you, Your Excellencies, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was His Excellency, Malam Nasser Ahmed El-Rufai, the Governor of Kaduna State. From scrapping to creating new ministries that are more in tune with the times now, to a radical drive for growth in our internally generated revenue, Kaduna State is a hotbed of activities right now. I'm sure that we can all agree. That was the governor giving us an overview of the 4 summits and the results that have come forth from those summits, the past 4, and of course unveiling this 5th one. Allow me at this time to welcome His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for his address. Your Excellency, sir.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, Your Excellencies, Deputy Governor Kaduna State, member of the Federal Executive Council, senior government officials, resource persons, captains of industry, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government and people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I am delighted to congratulate the Kaduna people of Kaduna State on the occasion of the 5th Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit. Kaduna Invest has become a regular fixture on the investment calendar. Held annually since 2016, it is a fitting statement of the resilience of the Kaduna State government that it is able to host the 2020 edition amid the severe disruptions to the normal order caused by coronavirus. This is the sort of determined focus that can help the country to navigate the challenging consequences of the pandemic. I wish to commend the efforts of the Kaduna State government to establish its credentials as one of the new investment destinations of choice in Nigeria. These efforts have received just recognition in the response of the business community, which has put in new investments in the state. This is a further affirmation of the ranking of the state as number one for ease of doing business by the World Bank's Doing Business Report 2018. I call on the Kaduna State government to keep up these laudable efforts and surpass the impressive results already attained. The success of our state governments in attracting investments, creating jobs, and increasing their internally generated revenues is critical to the success of the entire country. Therefore, I am impressed that the Kaduna State government has from inception used Invest as a serious platform for showcasing its investment potentials. The state's commitment to consistent implementation of the Ease of Doing Business Charter is exemplary, including the ability to increase its internally generated revenue to 44 billion naira in 2019 from 13 billion naira in 2015 without hiking tax rates. This is very laudable. It was my pleasure to commission the Olam hatchery and feed mill project in 2017. About 18 months after the groundbreaking was done at the first edition of Invest in 2016. It is commendable that investors like Tomato Joss are creating jobs in the agribusiness sector, taking advantage of Kaduna State's prioritization of agriculture. I also note with delight the success of new investments in renewable energy like Blue Camel and tractor assembly and the revitalization of poultry farms across the state. The ongoing development of iron mining and steel processing capacity in the state through investment by African Natural Resources and Mines Limited is especially commendable. The federal government will continue to support efforts to attract job-creating investments. We believe that much can be done at the sub-national level to drive human capital development and expand economic opportunity. I note with delight the massive investments in infrastructure upgrade Kaduna State is executing through the Urban Renewal Program in Kaduna, Kafanchan, and Zaria. Given the track record since 2015, I have no doubt that Kaduna State government and its private sector partners will take full advantage of the economic windows that are being opened by federal government investment, such as Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano gas pipeline. The state government should afford full cooperation and support to cross-border federal projects such as the Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano pipeline and the Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano highway. As you focus on the theme of KAD Invest 5, infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation, I wish you productive deliberations and further success in developing Kaduna State. I also appeal to all indigenes of Kaduna State to cooperate with the government and security agencies to secure peace and harmony in the state. We must live together as brothers and sisters because without peace, development cannot take place. I thank you and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, our Father and President. Indeed, peace is not negotiable. We need peace for development, just as he said in his address. It is something that all men, all of us, should strive for. I have been told that at this point, the President would like to leave us. If this is true, I would ask that we all rise as the President departs. Thank you very much. While we wait for our next speakers. Okay, all right. To what we have next. Okay. At this point, I'll be asking for the keynote speech by Mr. Bismarck Rewani, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Do we have Mr. Bismarck Rewani?
Yes, you have me.
Okay, sir.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Chairman of the Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit, Your Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed honored and humbled to be invited to deliver this speech at the Kaduna 5.0 Summit. The KAD Invest 5.0 is particularly auspicious because of its timing, relevance, and functionality. This is a period when Nigeria as a country is grappling with how to contain and moderate the fallout of the global and domestic pandemic, while simultaneously pressing the reset button to address the structural macroeconomic defects that have been with us for a long time. I must say that some of these pre-existing macroeconomic conditions have existed in Nigeria for over 50 to 60 years. But before I delve into the theme of today, which is infrastructure, the three I's, infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation, I would like to spend a few minutes to discuss the historical, cultural, and economic relevance of the city of Kaduna and the state in the context of the economic transition of Nigeria to becoming a 21st century African tiger, if I may be pardoned. Kaduna was and is the nucleus of economic activity and the center of gravity of the politics of the whole northern region. It is more than anything else, the political city, just as Zaria was and remains the academic city of the whole northern region and indeed of Nigeria. Your Excellency, permit me to say that Sir Ahmadu Bello of blessed memory, the Sardana of Sokoto, and the first premier of northern Nigeria, ensured that Kaduna was the political mecca of all in Nigeria. The largest government-owned development institution at the time, the NNDC, was headquartered in Kaduna. At its peak, the NNDC had 146 subsidiaries and cut across no less than 25 sectors. In today's terms, and using the dollar exchange rate of the 1980s, the total footing in assets of the NNDC is almost equivalent to the market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange in 2020. It employed thousands of workers and was a training ground for a group of managers and leaders that have helped chart a path of success for the Nigerian economy. Your Excellency, Governor El-Rufai, I chose my words deliberately when I said that Kaduna became the nucleus of economic activity and the center of gravity of the Nigerian political calculus. Then, and to a large extent now, the dictionary meaning of the word nucleus is, and I quote, "a central and most important part of any object, movement, or group forming the basis for its activity and growth." In physics, it is defined as the positively charged central What's the meaning of Kaduna being or was the nucleus of economic activity? It is that Kaduna was the central and most important part of the object, that is the economic activity of Nigeria, forming the basis for its activity and growth. Kaduna was and could become again the nucleus of the economics of the northern region and indeed the whole of Nigeria and West Africa. As we deliberate and discuss the strategies to attract investors into Kaduna, we must bear in mind that Kaduna was and also the nucleus again of the 21st century Nigerian economy. The state has a comparative advantage in the cultivation of the following crops, and the governor has rolled out this. We see rice, ginger, soybean, and animal husbandry. It is the home of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Training Center and houses a flight training simulator, the only one in West Africa, and is a core of general aviation industry in Nigeria. Kaduna State domiciles the Nigerian Defense Academy and the training ground of the officer corps of the Nigerian military and command structure. The Nigerian textile industry, as you alluded to, Mr. Governor, had its hub in Kaduna State, and with considerable and vast investment across the entire value chain, from spinning to weaving and textile production in all its ramifications. It also boasts of the potential movie, theater, arts, and music industry. Today, an employment rate of 39.8, which is higher than most other parts of it. It has an inflation rate of 13.11 and has a poverty of 31.35 and 27th rank among the 36 states in the Prosperity Misery Dynamic Index. These challenges also provide an opportunity, and Parliament El-Rufai is not known to shy away from challenges. Therefore, today as we discuss the way forward, we should also set a goal of the restoration of the pride of Kaduna as the investment hub of the northern region, and to use a central position to galvanize resources and talent to achieve this goal. I wish to make some observations on how this state government has taken advantage of adversity and turned it into opportunity in the past. The first example I would like to address is when the Abuja airport was closed for runway rehabilitation for approximately 9 months. The Kaduna State government was able to mobilize resources and make Kaduna Airport an alternate to Abuja. It also worked assiduously for upgrading Kaduna Airport into an international airport standard and secured the Ethiopian Airlines to make it one of its destinations even after Abuja Airport opened. Mr. Governor and investors, the state government has also worked hard to ensure that Abuja-Kaduna Rail has become a catalyst for movement between the FCT and Kaduna, and you said this in your opening remarks. When the highway between Abuja and Kaduna had become a nightmare for motorists, I believe that at this summit, participants will discuss how to identify other opportunities that can be used to leverage the capital stock in Kaduna and North Central and Northwestern Nigeria at this time. The second point I made earlier is that Kaduna was the center of gravity of Nigerian politics and remains in a nuanced form that same center of gravity today. What does the center of gravity mean? It is defined as the center of mass, the point at which the entire weight of a body may be considered as concentrated, so that if supported, at this point, the body will remain in equilibrium in any position. So how does Kaduna fit into that definition of center of gravity? It is time that after, I remember that it was time that after the military coup of 1960, a crop of young professionals, military officers and bureaucrats met regularly in Kaduna to discuss issues of common interest and patriotic initiatives to defend Nigerian interests in general and northern interests in particular. The group became so powerful in the selfless pursuit of group interests that it became known as the Kaduna Mafia. With the balkanization of Nigeria by creation of more states, the group became less cohesive and fragmented, thereby losing its importance and influence. Again, as Kaduna State goes through the trauma of violence, banditry, and dysfunctional activity, I am optimistic that this phase shall also pass, and the restoration of the dignity of Kaduna, both politically and economically, will coincide as the state will attain a stage of economic takeoff. Some quick facts. Kaduna's GDP is $10.3 billion. Its growth rate is 3.18, higher than that of the national economy. Income per capita is $1,600, lower than that of Nigeria in general. Number of tertiary institutions are 23, highest in the country. Population, 8.76 to 10 million. Inflation rate, 3.11. Ginger is the largest producer in the country, soybean, rice, and you mentioned others. Internally generated revenue of 26.88 billion. Gross FAC allocation, 55.73 billion. Your Excellency, the current expenditure of 57.64 billion and capex of 19 billion naira. Foreign debt, $232 million, and domestic debt of 84.64 billion naira. The theme of this year's event is the 3 I's, infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation. It is so important that it raises a major question, which is therefore, how can these 3 variables or concepts help in the transformation of or drastically changing economic momentum and growth in Kaduna State and Nigeria? Nigeria today luckily has adopted an investment-led strategy in a mixed economic model. Mr. President will attest to that, and we are moving in the right direction. Free market economics blended with a dose of state intervention and support. The national income identity equation, even after being savaged by COVID, is $459 billion, of which investment is $103 billion. For Nigeria to achieve an income per capita of $3,000 per head, we need to grow the GDP in a radical manner from $459 billion to $630 billion. This can be achieved mainly by massive investment in infrastructure, a solid boost in industrialization, using the old model of the third industrial revolution. This will be simultaneously complemented by a disruptive innovation of the fourth industrial revolution. At this summit, with the likes of Facebook, Apple, Google, TikTok, Microsoft, and so on, having a handshake with the GEs and Boeings of the world, and collaborating with the large private equity funds, we are bound to have a very stimulating and illuminating session where ideas, initiatives, and more than anything else, checks will be written, deals closed, and final investment decisions made. This, more than anything else, will be that major step towards the restoration of pride and the big move towards Kaduna getting back to its role as the nucleus of economic activity in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Governor El-Rufai, and all other investors here, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak at this summit. Thank you.
That was Mr. Bismarck Rewani, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Thank you for that keynote speech. Are we connected now? Do we have a better connection with Lagos? If we have a better connection with Lagos, at this time I would like to hear the goodwill message to us from the Executive Governor of Lagos State, His Excellency.
Good morning to everyone in Kaduna. His Excellency the President of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, in absentia. I don't know how Mr. Malam Nasir allowed him to leave because I've been watching and listening attentively. My brother, my senior brother, His Excellency Malam Nasir El-Rufai, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, actually, we're also organizing a retreat for our cabinet members and permanent secretaries. But I felt highly excited that I can join this 5.0 CAD Invest for two reasons. First, for me, is I see Kaduna State as one of the states in which I continue to do peer review. And secondly, also just to honor my very good brother and friend, Malam Nasiru El-Rufai. And so, indeed, I want to commend the state government and the leadership of Malam Nasiru El-Rufai for putting this together again. This year, even given the very global pandemic that all of us have had to go through, CAD Invest 5.0 has defied all that odds and has rolled out a very rich program and discussion of engagement that all participants, I'm sure, will benefit from. And like we've listened, the theme for this year's event, it's the 3 I's: infrastructure, innovation, and industrialization. I think it's an appropriate time in which it's been a very worthwhile, thought-provoking things. You know, industrialization is something that all of us cannot do it with, and Kaduna taking the lead on that now, I think is important. Infrastructure, everybody talks about infrastructure from all ends and from every part of the country. And so Kaduna also putting that as the major topical issue today, I think it's also very appropriate. And finally, innovation. You certainly cannot do anything going forward, even post-COVID now, without thinking out of the box, without innovating. And so I'm very, very pleased to be part of the conversation today and to having listened, you know, in the last 1 hour, and especially the very brilliant presentation by Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, and seeing all of the giant strides that the state has been about for the past 5 years. I cannot but commend your government and your team, you know, for setting this right direction in Kaduna State and in that part of the country. And I can say that for us as a state government too, we are also seeing common denominators in the kind of things that we're planning to do in the last 16, 18 months that we've been in government. And for example, part of the innovative ways that we have in our Innovation Council, we've identified young, brilliant Nigerians, you know, we've supported them, you know, ensuring that they have a means even beyond COVID-19. I will also want to commend and acknowledge your establishment of the Ministry of Business, Innovation, and Technology as part of your new reform agenda. I've listened that there are 3 ministries, you know, and that you've brought to bear and review of additional 3. And listening to what has come about these new ministries, I cannot but commend your growth plan and all of the things that you've set aside, you have set forward for Kaduna State. I also listen very carefully around your 5 policy implementation council. I must commend that this is very innovative and one of the things that other states also can learn from. I believe that there's a lot for both of us to learn. There's a lot that our various states can learn, you know, from one another in terms of promoting innovation, in terms of attracting investment for infrastructure and industrialization. And it is my hope that this summit will, among others, fashion out ways in which we can have, like I said, institutionalizing peer review, you know, and knowledge sharing, you know, amongst our states. Malam will remember that sometime last year, I did a challenge for him. You're number 1 in the ease of doing business ranking in Nigeria currently. And I said to you that you are 4 years ahead of me, and that by 2023, not only will I be competing with that position, if I cannot outpace you, you know, and that is a challenge, you know, that I think it's appropriate. It's only for me, it's only...
Okay, he's back with us. Your Excellency.
Thank you very, very much. I think, you know, just to explain, In Lagos, we're doing what we call a 3,000 kilometer fiber connectivity, to removing the barriers around internet connectivity, right? So it's a shame that Lagos that wants to be the connectivity hub of the country are having these glitches. But it's the reality of where we find ourselves. This is a new normal, right? All of us need to continue to innovate and know that, internet connectivity, fiber connectivity is one of the things that must be working in all of our various states. And so just in concluding, I want to commend Madam Nasir El-Rufai. I want to commend Madam Deputy Governor and the entire cabinet. We know you're doing great things in Kaduna. There's certainly no doubt about that. And we want to continue to wish you all the very, very best. We will be doing our own economic summit sometime about 5-6 weeks further down the line. And I'm hoping that we can also extend the same invitation to Your Excellency to also join us in Lagos. Lagos continue to remain as the economic nerve center of the country. I'm not sure we want to share that with anybody. Though we're the tiniest, I know you can consume it 20 times over in terms of size, and all of it. And I'm building the biggest rice factory, the rice mill in the country. So we still have a lot of collaboration to do. Maybe it's with party that I will need to come over. Maybe it's ensuring that it is even the tomatoes that they are doing so very well in Caduna that we need to bring down to Lagos and see how we also can do further value addition. Whatever it is, I see a collaboration, a very healthy one for that matter, between Lagos State and Kaduna State. And I want to wish Your Excellency the very, very best. And while we continue to, observe and see that Kadi Invest 5.0 will be a place of reference. Thank you very much. And I yield the floor back to you. Thank you very much.
Lagos corrected. To hear the governor of what we still know as small or mighty, Lagos State is small, doing great things, to say, every once in a while he wants to check back now and see what Kaduna State is doing, so that he checks on his peer and ensures that he's not being left behind. I think that is a very great compliment for Kaduna State at this point, where Lagos State is beginning to say, there's some people we need to check on. And it would seem like the era of healthy rivalry is that, trying to get one up on each other. It's a beautiful thing. And for every Kadunan, there's everything to be happy about. All right, so at this point, we're going to be moving on quickly to a very short documentary, and then that short documentary is going to morph into a plenary session. The documentary is titled Domesticating Industry. Right after that, I will be introducing our moderator for that plenary session. Enjoy.
If Kaduna State is only known for one thing, then an industrial hub, clearly housing so many industries that are involved in either manufacturing, processing, or the production resolve to prioritize public-private partnerships to realize the needed advancement in focus industrial sectors like agriculture, mining and quarrying, textile, automobile, and lots more. In the agricultural sector, for instance, Kaduna State is known to be amongst the largest producers of ginger in Africa, and its ginger is known to be the finest in the world. Also, Kaduna State is among leading producers of tomato, maize, sorghum, and sugarcane in Nigeria.
Trying to catch up with time, we will be going right into the plenary. Probably after we are done with that, we'll be able to go back to the documentary. But at this point, I would like to introduce our moderator for the first plenary in the person of Idris Samaila Inyam, the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Business, Innovation, and Technology. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, DCFR, Your Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, Balaraba Sabwa Balarabi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. One of the high points of the Caduna Summit is the plenary session, and it's my singular honor to welcome you to this plenary with the topic, Domesticating Industry 4.0. The world has witnessed at least 3 different industrial ages. The first age witnessed the transition from hand production methods to mechanized processes, which saw the development of machines and mechanized processes. This commenced around the 1760s. The second industrial revolution was around the 1880s and witnessed the transition to mass production, electricity, etc. The third revolution witnessed the transition to IT automation. This started around the 1980s. We are now witnessing a move to the fourth industrial revolution, which will witness the era of grand cyber systems and complex merger of humans and machines, artificial intelligence, otherwise known as AI, robotics, and Internet of Things, IoT. Basically a fusion of technologies, and it appears that Africa is almost left behind in the scheme of things. With the current exposure and access that Africa, Nigeria, and in particular Caduna has, how do we catch up with the rest of the world? What are the challenges? What are the implications for our economy and for the idea of work? What should we begin to do as part of our preparedness? How do we position ourselves to benefit from the opportunities that the fourth industrial revolution brings? To answer these questions and more, we are delighted to have you all on our panel. Our first panelist should have been Mr. Eso Phillips, an agricultural industrialist and biotechnologist who was trained at the University of Ottawa, Canada. He's currently the CEO of Wuba Integrated Farms Limited, a Kaduna-based agro-business that focuses on integrated poultry linkages, including breeder farms, hatchery, broiler farms, abattoir, and feed mill. He is the founder of Ronax Invest, a Cameroonian-based company involved in large-scale animal production. He also consults with other multinationals on agriculture and forestry sector, as well as public works services, such as land clearing and road maintenance for heavy machinery, quality control deforestation, and earthworks for the construction of hydroelectric dams. Unfortunately, he's not with us this morning. Apparently some technology challenges too. He's currently in Cameroon. He was supposed to join us from there. But we have a colleague of his who works very closely with him, Ms. Glory Nneka Ukwenga, who will be joining us on this session. The next panelist I'd like to introduce Dr. E.O.A. Damisa. Dr. Damisa is the immediate past president of the Nigerian Society of Mining Engineers and a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Mining Engineers. He has taught mining, mineral processing, and other allied courses in Kaduna Polytechnic, the University of Jos, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences in Jos. He was the pioneer director of training and later the acting provost of NIMG. Dr. Ebenezer O. Aliu Damisa is a graduate of mining engineering from Camborne School of Mines in the UK. His current interests and research activities include eco-friendly beneficiation technology for artisanal gold processing and the formalization of artisanal miners into small and large-scale enterprises. The next panelist we're going to be having with us is Dr. Kashim Bukar Shatima. He is the chairman and CEO of Barbados Group of Companies, which have vested interest in aviation, agriculture, oil and gas, and automobile sectors. One of his businesses includes the popular Barbados Motors Limited. Dr. Kashim is an experienced board member with over 20 years tenure. He currently sits on the board of companies in agric, energy, and automobile industries. He's also a recipient of both local and international awards, including an honorary doctorate degree from Commonwealth University, Belize, United Arab Emirates. He's married with 5 children. The next panelist, Engineer El-Rufai Zakari, the special advisor to the President on Infrastructure and serves as Secretary of the Power Reform Coordination Working Group. Before that, he worked at General Electric, GE, where he acquired extensive experience in the electricity and oil and gas sectors. Engineer Ahmed was the COO of GE Nigeria with added responsibility as an executive director of GE's power business in SSA. He was responsible for the company's gas power business in Nigeria and South Africa, with over 150 turbines and up to 8 gigawatts of installed capacity. Prior to this, he was the executive director and audit manager of Sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East division of GE Corporate. Ahmed has degrees in electrical engineering and economics. He's actively nominated. We next have Professor H.D. Ibrahim. Professor H.D. Ibrahim earned a bachelor's and master's degree in textile technology from ABU and a doctorate degree from Leeds University in the UK. After years of experience, he left the university as a lecturer to join the Raw Materials Research and Development Council, where he became Director General in 2014. He has served on several committees, both at ABU and the Raw Materials Institute, and won several awards and prizes. At IMRDC, he made significant impact that led to, amongst other things, the creation of the Mantra Kilishi, modern Kilishi processing plant based on indigenous technology approved by NAFDAC in 2017. Professor Ibrahim is a fellow of over 20 professional bodies and has over 122 publications and has 2 patents. He's happily married with 5 children. So we're going to have a question and answer sessions between us and the panelists. We'll start with the representative, Eso Philip, in agriculture. So, Glory, Kaduna is looking to transform her vast agrarian society to a nationally dominant industrial hub that can compete globally. How do you advise the Kaduna State government to go about this? Given the efficiency of adopting technology for large-scale agricultural production, what areas most pressing investment coming from your experience? You would have 5 minutes to respond to this.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I'd really like to apologize again for the technological challenges that have impacted I also want to appreciate the Kaduna State government for putting this in place, the opportunity for people to engage in issues of industrial development practices that can standardize processes for development and investment in Kaduna States. I want to say that the government is actually on track. The government of this gives us a lot of leverage for foreign direct investments, such as my boss is trying to get in country. And one of the things that we noticed in the process of kicking off the business in Kaduna State is that the Kaduna Geographic Information System have been modernized to be quite responsive under the present dispensation. And then, of course, some facets of the Kaduna State Development Plan are also reaching out, reaching us, and then we're also being able to study, to participate actively in that process. We hope that issues such as security would not be would be nipped in the bud, such that they do not discourage foreigners who are trying to come from the outer space, because the recent narrative regarding the challenges in southern Kaduna caused a lot of anxiety for the partners to Uber Integrated Farms as regards issues of housing, accommodation, where it is that we even were negotiating to start our farm. And accessibility of machineries too has been a challenge. We have not been able to fully establish a clear relationship with the government on this aspect. We've been working on it on our own, but we hope that we can find a future scenario where it's easier to transport machineries, especially for capital-intensive machineries to the states. Then the accessibility of loans. Normally, we're trying to raise some funding. The partners have been working with their own, on their strategic level to raise resources to kick off the business. But it will help us more if we can be aware of indigenous initiatives that can actually support, that is meant to support people willing to come in, especially those ones from fellow African countries, because this particular business, Wuba, has a parent company, Runners Invest, which is based in Cameroon. And Cameroon is a country that looks up to Nigeria with respect to development and infrastructure. It will be a better narrative for them to see that things are actually easier and things are better to assess in the Nigerian space. That said, there should be a lot of programs that would actually cause a pull factor for more population, to become based in Kaduna. Because we have been trying to cite a poultry farm that, faces the integrated linkages, the forward and backward linkages, vis-a-vis the production of the feed mill, the hatchery, and also even apart from the production of the eggs and taking care of the brain of the chickens, we're still also looking at even processing those meat to try and increase the protein consumption and availability for children, mothers, and households in Nigeria. A lot of people have asked the question, why Kaduna State? And then we have always answered that we find that Kaduna is a state where the government has been deliberately trying to push for more and more foreign investments to come in. But the challenge of the accessibility to markets, we're facing a reality where the people who are actually going to consume more of our goods, we have to be linking with Abuja, with Niger State and the other neighboring states. And why this is a good narrative for Kaduna, because it means that Kaduna would be, as the last speaker has spoken, will become such a feeder industry for some other states. It would also do well to give us more confidence to note that markets will be able to access from Kaduna State. It will be easier for us to with the train and all that, it's, transportation and all, but the question is, how do we send our eggs in thousands, to other neighboring states? it would also be nice to know that there are also strategies that are put in place to encourage population and to encourage that drive of different dynamics of people across social classes, because the consuming power of the average Kaduna people is not quite standard from our market research, and that has been raising some concerns. So I hope the government can look into this.
Particularly access to marketing. Okay, may I ask Dr. Damisa, specialist in mining and quarrying space. Company. From your experience over the years, what more do you think government should be doing to attract investors in this sector? In your opinion, what part of the mining and quarrying value chain would need investment interventions for large-scale farming? If you could take this in 2 minutes. Dr. Damisa. Is it still on?
Yes. Yes. Mr. Moderator, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, you can hear you.
Mr. Moderator, can you hear me, please? Well, thank you very much if you can hear me. First of all, I'd like to thank the Governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, fellow Nigerian Society of Mining Engineers. My name is Ebenezer Damisa, the immediate past president of Nigerian Society of Mining Engineers. And for me, it's a big honor to be on the is well endowed with very many notable mineral resources, which include gold, nickel, iron ore, tin ore, gemstones, graphite, dimensions, to name a few. And I'd like to commend the governor for all that he has done for the mining industry, especially with the creation of Kaduna Mining Company and the ongoing establishment of mining and iron ore processing or steel processing factory between Kaduna and Abuja. This is very well done, and we think that with all this, Kaduna State is well on the way to what we call a revolution in the mining sector. The governor said earlier on that oil is on its way out. If oil is on its way out, then I can tell you that solid minerals or mining is on its way in. And I urge Kaduna State government to pay greater attention to solid minerals development. One, it has started doing that by the creation of Kaduna Mining Company. Certain minerals that we think will bring rapid industrialization to Kaduna State. One of the pillars of this Kaduna Invest is innovation. We are in a world that is rapidly innovating. And what are the ingredients of innovation? They are minerals, especially what we call new minerals that are being used. For instance, we have, in the future, very soon, we are going to have electric vehicles. And what we are going to be focusing on are what will be used primarily for electric vehicles are batteries. And And what can be used to produce batteries? These batteries are minerals, certain minerals such as lithium, graphite, and cobalt. Kaduna State is well endowed with graphite around Renewal area. And I want the government to please encourage investors to look at the gold deposit. Kaduna State has one of the largest gold around Renewal area is some graphite. And we can encourage investors to look at this so that we can, our people, Kaduna State people, can invest in it. We also have some.
Thank you very much, Dr. Damisa. I'll have to stop you here briefly. We'll come back to you again later.
Thank you.
Dr. Kashim Booker, online. Dr. Kashim.
Yes, I am.
What policies or initiatives or other fiscal policies can the government, especially Kaduna State, implement to continue to create an enabling environment for the new and existing investors in the automobile industry? As you're aware, you're coming from that sector, you're coming with a wide experience from that area, and His Excellency has also mentioned our investments with Dangote. Well, how would you advise to move on with this? Then with an import-driven automobile industry, what are strategies to reverse this trend, and what roles can countries like you play in actualizing the adoption of locally produced automobiles in Nigeria? Dr. Kashim Booker.
Thank you very much, Director.
No, I'm here. I can hear you.
Is he back?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Engineer Ahmed.
Can you hear me?
Zachary.
Can you hear me?
Is he on? Are you on?
I'm not mute.
Okay, I'm told Kashim Booker is back.
Can you hear me, moderator?
Sorry, Engineer Ahmed Zachary. Okay, very quickly, in your opinion, how can Kaduna State government provide support for potential investors interested in renewable energy? The state government provides support. How do you see that providing support for potential investors interested in renewable energy in the state, which is an area that we're actually driving for? Engineer Zachary?
Yes. Moderator, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Banner?
Okay, very good.
I don't know.
Renewable energy, Kaduna State.
I don't know why. I don't know why they cannot. But they can hear me.
Moderator, I can hear, okay. Let me proceed. I think as we think about renewable energy and the linkage to this concept of a fourth industrial revolution, renewable energy is going to be one of the main thrusts in terms of how we think about our future economies. Just recently, a report came out that 60% of new energy installations globally are coming from solar. Are in Nigeria, we actually have no on-grid scaled up renewable energy from a solar or wind perspective. And I think with the strides that the Kaduna State government is making, I would like to bet that Kaduna State will be the first state with on-grid solar power. And I know the government is working very hard, and we're engaging with them on the federal level to see how we can support that. But as we talk about renewable energy on a large scale, His Excellency the Governor of Kaduna has always said that the small scale renewable is also something that's very critical. If you think about it, in Nigeria today we have almost 80 million people without access to electricity, and the only way we're going to economically electrify them is through off-grid rural solutions, through solar home systems and mini grids. As you can see, Caduna already has Blue Camel, which is the leader in the off-grid space, set up in state from a manufacturing perspective. And what you're going to see is that we're also looking at how do you take places like Kasuwa Magani off-grid as well, and also look into many of the areas outside of the urban settlements to provide low-cost solar solutions to be able to electrify that population. I'm glad to announce that the 140 billion naira fund for the 5 million solar connections that the federal government is working on through the Economic Sustainability Plan is active, and we're very excited with the opportunities that can be brought to fore with a very innovative Kaduna State. But I think as we think about this, there's the aspect of the electrification, but also the manufacturing and infrastructure. And, you know, Kaduna State, as it is a leader, is already thinking ahead of the curve with both aspects coming to the fore. Moderator, we can't hear you.
Thank you very much. Professor Haiti Ibrahim, the textile and raw material sector. As you're aware, Kaduna State has some old moribund state textile industries which have been bedeviled with issues to do with power and the likes. How do you suppose, or how do you propose we move forward to achieving the Industry 4.0 in the textile space? Professor Ibrahim. Professor Ibrahim.
Yes, please.
Is Professor Ibrahim still online?
Yes, please. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Am I speaking to Professor
Hello?
Ibrahim?
I'm speaking to Mrs. Tanko, who is representing Professor Ibrahim. Can you hear me?
Okay, please go ahead. But we should have been notified of this earlier, but please go ahead.
My name is Mrs. Sanko. I'm Director of Investment and Consultancy. I'm representing Professor Hussein Doko Ibrahim, who is supposed to have been with you up until the last 20 minutes. He was called for another assignment. Can I have the question again, please?
In the textile space.
Thank you very much. As we all know, textile space is a space that employs a lot of hands. Utilization of Internet of Things will support in industrialization. But before we can be able to achieve that, there are other issues that need to be addressed. The Raw Material Research and Development Council, in its effort to look at development of the textile sector, conducted a survey, and some issues came to the fore. Apart from infrastructure, there is deficiency of the right quality of seed for the farmers to produce the needed cotton. Our farmers are not organized into a cooperative model so that we can have sustainability even when we have them farming. Also, the absence of licensing buying agents or a kind of structure to ensure that when used, there are off-takers contributed to the decline in production of the textile sector. So utilization of Internet of Things will support because you can electronically cluster our farmers, ensure that we have the data needed for the production of secondary raw material, that's production of yarn, which is now the primary raw material in the production of textile. So in graduating to Industry 4.0, we must ensure that we have a very good data bank of our farmers, and then the industries that will do the off-taking so that we can be able to know the requirement for the larger industry.
Thank you very much. Might Kashim Booker be back now?
Yes, I'm back, moderator.
Welcome back, Dr. Kashim Booker.
Thank you.
I think we have to go through this very quickly before technology takes us. To create an enable environment for new and existing investors in the automobile industry.
Very much, moderator.
What policies or initiatives would you advise in guiding government to take up to create a more enabling environment for new and existing investors in the automobile industry?
Thank you, moderator. As you know, Kaduna State has one of the best automobile plants in the past, which was Pujo Automobile. One of the things that actually killed that plant was when government came with monetization policies. Now, of course, most of the performance driven by government patronage of the automobile industries. That after monetization, that also just went away. But having said that, when government tried to bring in the auto policy, I was one of the people that was a bit against that, because at that time, the country was not ready for that. Up till today, as I speak to you, we don't have a complete, apart from Innocent Motors, I don't think we have a complete assembled plant. But it's a good initiative to start bringing such investments and investors back to stream on the automobile, because it's a very critical aspect to the growth of the economy, transportation. I'm very happy to hear His Excellency, the governor, saying Dangote is coming with Pujo Automobile are going to create another assembly plant here in Nigeria and Kaduna. And I believe Pujo was recently taken over by another investor, foreign investor, who are going to do the automobile. But our critical thing here, the critical part here in all this is, how do you get the CKDs in? We have challenges of roads, because what are you trying to create? You are trying to create a cheap automobile or cheap car for the common man. Today, the cost of assembling a car is quite high, and that's why you find a lot of vehicles and cars are being imported through the borders because of getting cheap cars. Now, normally in any countries where you assemble car, you should be able to provide cheap cars to your people. Policy, I think what government should do on this to achieve this, I think first to get the investors, give them an enabling environment, which is very, very critical. one of our critical aspects that I experienced in the past is human capital. We need to get proper, to orientate our people properly, whereby to train them and get investors, the investors to come in and train, because you need the local capacity, local human capital. You knew that. You need that. Without the local human capital, I don't think you're going to succeed. We might bring the Chinese, we might bring the foreigners, but for how long? We must have local, indigenous, trained Nigerians. And that is one challenge I see in our country today, because we've left that part of it, and we're thinking more of the investment. And I think what we should try and do is create policies whereby encourage the investor in conditions where they will get free, they get their CKDs, duty-free CKDs after showing their investment, not what was created before. Because the auto policy that was created before was created based on, for me personally, as individuals' venture, or an individual venture. The auto policy that I expect is where people show seriousness in investment, in employing labor, creating jobs, creating job opportunity, and displaying their investment properly, putting the structures for us, and the government will give them all the incentives that are possible to achieve this auto industry. That is what I think government should.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Kasim. You might want to adjust your camera a bit. Actually, the viewers are not able to see your face properly. You might want to please adjust your camera a bit, but I'll come back to you in a moment. I'll get back to you in a moment.